Hi guys, so for my project, I'm going to talk about how electroencephalography, or EEG, works. We talked about this earlier in class when we were discussing methods in cognitive neuroscience. So this is an example of an EEG cap. Here's me in the EEG cap with some other equipment on. So this is a 64 cap, which means that there's 64 possible channels you can record from. So to prep this cap, we have to fit it to your head size and then connect all of those wires. Then we actually have to apply this electrophoresis gel to each of the electrodes so it can pick up activity from your scalp. So as we discussed, EEG has really great temporal resolution, but not as great spatial resolution, meaning that it's great to use to look at timing, but not as great for where exactly something's happening in your brain. So what do you actually get when you record an EEG? Well, this is what you get as very raw data. This is called a channel scroll. And right now this is hundreds of minutes of data, and there's not a lot that we can do with it. So what we have to do is something called pre-processing. So I don't have time to show you how to do all the steps, but here's a list of the main things you need to do while pre-processing. One thing I wanted to highlight is the idea of filtering. So sometimes we get data at frequencies that are not helpful. So we have a high pass filter to get rid of super small frequencies, and then a low pass filter to get rid of super big frequencies. Anything under 0.1 hertz and over 40 hertz is not normally considered relevant to brain activity. So this is how we would fix that in the GUI. Another idea when processing EEG is the idea of removing bad channels. So those channels could have had super high impedance or resistance. They could have just not been recording correctly. And if we have those in there, it's going to skew our data a lot. So there's two ways that you can get rid of bad channels. One is to do it automatically, and the other is to scroll through the entirety of your data scroll and search for a channel that consistently looks like where it's separate from the others. So if you see here in the circle, it's sort of like going up over the normal curve, and that's an idea that it's a bad channel. Then once you've removed those bad channels, you need to do something called interpolate, where you use good channels around the bad channel to make an educated guess of what that channel would have looked like so that you have data from all of your channels. Once you've cleaned up your data, there's lots of things that you can do with the EEG data. I personally researched something called somatosensory evoked potentials, or SEPs. So this is what I started with, and then with a lot of processing, we can end up with something that looks like this. So that was just a little bit about how EEG processing works.